Hello, welcome back to my channel, everybody. I'm still not going to be showing my face in these videos just because I kind of don't want to figure out how to do that. Also, I do most of these videos just lying in bed at like midnight, and I just don't want to take the effort of putting myself on camera. Plus I'm just warm and I've got a dog snuggled up right next to me, and I don't want to disturb the doggo. I'm sure you guys all know my predicament. Here we go for another round of building my own TBR. The focus of today's video is going to be a lot smaller than last week's video because today all we're going to be doing is adding the add a book to our TBR functionality. So whenever we click on the add a book to my TBR, that's what we're going to be doing today. It's going to be a lot smaller in scale than the last video. I probably should have split up the last video into two different videos, but I didn't. So here we are. This is turning into a lot more videos than I anticipated, which that's okay. Let's open up our TBR main, this thing right here. Here we are with the code. As a reminder, what our code does is go through and print out this stuff, and then we can choose what we want to do, whether we want to add a book, remove a book, or generate a TBR. So today we're going to be focusing on this first option. The first option is adding a book to the TBR. All of that would be done inside this case statement of our switch statement. What we want to do, we want to be add coding in between this statement here that just says adding a book to TBR and when we call the continue function. Because if you don't remember, continue is a function that basically asks us if we want to continue the program. And we want to do that after we've added a book to our TBR. So let's go in between these two lines. We want to print out something that asks us for both the author and the title. We want to ask for the title first. Let's do those system.out statements. Great, this is exactly what we want to see. Now what we want to do is we want to be able to actually get information. We want the user to be able to type something in. Just like the user can type something in here, we want to say something very similar. But instead of saying next int, we want to just say next. And what next is going to do is going to pull the string of values of whatever you type in. It's going to save that information. We want to save that information to a string. After we ask what the title of the book is, let's create a string. We're going to call it book, and we're going to set it to menu.next. And we want to do the same thing, but with the author, because we want the user to be able to type in the author of the book. So now that we've gotten both the string of the book and the author from the user, now we actually want to start adding things to our array list that we created. So we have our array list, it's called TBR. It's full of book objects. So first, let's create a book object. So now we have to put some things in between these parentheses. So let's take a look at the book class to look at the constructor that we made in the very first video to see what order we need to put in the book and the author. Here is the book class, and here is our constructor that we're going to use to create our book object. This constructor takes a string n and sets it to name, and it takes a string a and sets that to author. So the first parameter we're going to want to put in book is the name of the book, and the second thing we're going to want to do is put in the author of the book. In here, the reason that it's giving us an error is because we haven't put in the correct arguments in yet, and we're going to fix that right now. So we're going to say book, comma, author, and that's going to create our book object. So now we've created our book object, we need to add the book object into the TBR. So let's do that. We're going to use that using the add method. We need to add a book object into the add method, and we are going to add the book object we just created, which is book B, and it's yelling at us because there isn't a method add that takes no arguments. So our options are for adding, there's two add methods. There's one where we just put the book into it, and then there's another add method where we can put the book at a specific index into the TBR. We don't want to be putting something in a specific index, so all we need to do is put B into the TBR. Let's print out the book, and then let's get the book from the TBR to make sure that that stuff is matching. What we are going to do is, again, look at the book class because we created a handy dandy little toString method, so we can print out that toString method. We will get the name of the book and by the author. So let's do that. Inside the parentheses of our print statement, we're going to say B toString because that's the function that's going to print out the string. Oops, it's yelling at us because it's saying that a non-static variable cannot be referenced from a static context. So what we have to do to fix that is say static. If I can spell static. Alright, let's compile this. And now, look, great, it's compiled. Let's test to make sure that we can actually get the information and make sure this works properly. We want to add a book to our TBR, so we want to choose 1. So we're going to type in 1. And so now we're adding a book to our TBR. What is the title of the book? Let's just put in random variables. So we're going to call it title. And then what's the author? We're going to say the author is author. And look at that. Now that we've printed it, we're going to say the name of the book and its title, and it's by the author. Great. We're going to say no, we don't want to continue. So we're going to say to. Great. So now let's go back and let's fix this right here where we see this slash after no. We don't want that. Let's go find where that is and fix it. We are back in the TBR main class. Let's find where that backslash is and get rid of it. Oh, and look, there it is. All we have to do is just delete it and now it won't print it anymore. It'll look all nice. Now let's just verify that this is the correct book that we're printing, that we're adding, the same book that we created. So we're going to do another system.println and we're going to get stuff from the TBR. So let's do that. In order to print that, we're going to use the get function and we're going to say get 0 because this is going to be the first book that we added. And it doesn't really matter. We're going to be commenting out this code. It's just temporary. And look at that. It compiles. Here is our TBR. So let's add a book again. We're going to call the title, author. There we go. And look at that. So this is from our print when we are printing the book object, and this is from our print when we are printing from the TBR. So that's great. We're going to say we don't want to continue. Awesome. So now let's comment out the lines that print this stuff because it's not important. So let's comment out this line, do the double slashes so that way we don't need to see it because we don't need this book printed out multiple times. But what we do want to do is add another system.out print statement that's going to say this is the book you added to your TBR, something like that. Great, so now that we have this done, the very last thing I want to do is I basically want to, kind of like how we did with the continue function, I want to put all of this into a add book to TBR function, because that will make the code so much easier to read and a lot simpler. So let's go after this continue function. We're going to create another helper method. It really doesn't matter the order of helper methods in Java. So I'm going to put it right at the bottom. We're going to say it's private, because we don't need the entire world to see how we add books to our TBR. We're going to call it add to TBR. Let's say add book to TBR. Great. So we are going to, well, we don't want a semicolon, we want curly braces. And actually, we need this to say static and void, because we're not going to be returning anything from this function. And it also, just like continue, needs a scanner parameter. I'm going to call it M, because consistency is great. So now we are going to copy and paste all of this, Command V. And let's get the alignment fixed. So now we need to change all of the times we call menu.extent to M. And right, we don't want this out of there, so let's Control X that, because we don't want that in there. We want it to be in here. Let's get rid of this extraneous line. And now we want to call add book to TBR, and we want to call this function up here right before we call continue. So we're going to do that just by pasting it. And we're going to need to pass it in a scanner menu. And we want to pass this one in scanner menu as well. Oop, don't forget your semicolons, friends. Alright, now let's see if this works. Here's the true test. Let's add a book. What's the author of our book? Author. And look at that. This is the book you added to your TBR. Here's the name. Here's the author. And do we want to continue? No, because we just wanted to test it. There you have it. That is how you add a book to your TBR in my TBR generator. I hope you guys had a lot of fun with this video. I'm having so much fun making these series of videos. If you guys don't like these videos, I'm sorry, but I'm having a lot of fun, so bear with me. Bye!